And when you build up the tawny, is there any difference in, you can age it for ages now in the bottle, it doesn't change, or is there like a bottle variation, or is it changing?
I'm just smiling because each house says what they prefer, and I'm gonna tell you why. We defend that the wines are perfect to drink after they're bottled. So we now have a 20-year-old, it has been bottled, and we advise them to drink in 1 to 5 years, more or less. It doesn't mean that the wine will go off, but it's the best time to drink it. These wines, they can age in the bottle. They will not gain anything, but they can age in the bottle. Why they won't gain anything? Because they have been filtered. They have been slightly filtered. So there's no sediments there to develop the wine, as you have in the vintage port. The vintage port is bottled without filtration. So you have there some material, let's say, to make the wine age better. But these wines have another good thing, which is once it's open, they can be open for at least a month or two. Normally it doesn't last more than 3 hours, but for a month or two.
Is perfect temperature to drink tawnies like this?
Perfect temperature, they should be about, I like to drink it at white wine temperature, okay? So, but if you have a fridge at home, if you put it in the fridge, it's much lower. But a white wine temperature for me is the perfect. And why? In Portugal, we used to have the tradition. You go to your grandmother's house, and they have a really nice decanter in crystal, and it's beautiful. And the port wine has been there for 3 years, or 5 years, or 10 years. So first, the wine is totally off, and second, they serve it at room temperature. Room temperature is 20, 21, 22. For these wines, it's extremely hot. So because you have a lot of alcohol and you don't have a lot of fruit anymore, it's going to be, if you drink at room temperature, it's going to be a lot of alcohol. You cannot see you cannot understand the aromas. So on these wines, we do it at white wine temperature. On the rubies, we try to do it as a red wine. Okay, because you still have some fruit. If you lower too much the temperature on the rubies, it doesn't work as well.
I think it's very interesting to see
color variation.
Color variation, and to taste 10, 20, 30, 40 years next to each other. It's amazing.
I think this is the best way to understand the evolution of these wines. What time makes to what the difference that time makes to the wines. They are still the cheapest wines that you can buy. They are the cheapest wine that you can buy. Which other wine can you buy with 40 years old for 150 euros? There's no.
Which is drinkable.
Which is drinkable, exactly. It's difficult. So next year we're going to put the prices up. No, I'm joking. No, but it's something that it's really precious, and it's probably one of the last wines from the old world to have a decent price. So future hopefully will bring the prices up. But they are rare wines. They are very rare wines. You have to imagine that first, space is getting more expensive. Second, this is, by having casks in the cellars, is like having money in the bank, normally. So it's an investment. You have to wait 40 years. Normally we work always for the next generation. We're working for the next generation and the one after. So in our case, it's not that you make the wine now and you sell it tomorrow. We don't. Minimum 2 years. Minimum. But it's normally a generation when you make wine. Now, on these wines, Have you tasted all? Yeah? Which one was the sweetest? Second? The 10? The first one was the sweetest? Okay. It is not. It is actually the 40 years old the sweetest. But you don't feel it. Why? No? Anyone? Axel, you don't. No, but if you read the book, there's a book that the black book that we prepared for this session. You're gonna see some signs that will help you. The acidity on the 40 years old is much higher than on the 10. So the sugar, if you have to think that the sugar level initially is the same on the 10-year-old, the wine has exactly the same sugar. If it is just a question of how long it aged, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So what it means is that if you think that it evaporates, the wine evaporates, the alcohol, let's say, and the wine concentrates, if it ages longer, on the 40 years old is much more concentrated. So the residual sugar, the sugar that it's there at the end, is much more concentrated on the 40 than on the 10. But why don't you feel it? Because the acidity level grows much faster than the sugar level. So your acidity is much higher on the 40-year-old than on the 10. Sugar is slightly higher, but it doesn't grow at the same rhythm, let's say. So that's why I always ask this, because everyone thinks that the 10 is more, it has more sugar, sweeter, but it doesn't. It doesn't feel like it. It's the oxidation of the wine. The oxidation, yeah.
So what do we have to do now? So we are blending now a 20-year-old Tawny, trying
yes. Just gonna add something before we go to the blend, which is these wines are really special, because this is like an alchemist work. When you do a vintage port, a regular, the one that you age in the bottle, it's the wine. I mean, you pray to the gods that the grapes are good, the grapes were good, you made a good wine, and then you put it in the bottle. There's nothing else you can do, okay? On the vintage port, you cannot do anything. You put it in the bottle, you leave it in the cellar, that's it. These wines have, first of all, constant work, so we have to take the wines, rack the wines, so blend again, put it again in the casks, and take care of the wines. You have to constantly taste the wines, and then more difficult is that you have to blend the wines. And think of this, we do 10 years old, we do 1,000 liters, we sell the 1,000 liters, we have to do again 10 years old, but we have to use different wines. But we have to get the same sort of wine, same taste and same color. We cannot have variation throughout the time normally. So the difficult work here is that you have to make the same wine but using different components. So this is like an alchemist work, okay? And this is exactly what we are going to replicate, what a blender does, okay?
How to become a blender? So can you learn it? Is there a school? Or?
Our blender is the 3rd generation already.
Wow.
So normally it's a lot of tasting, and you have to have that special gift. I don't know.
Must be good organization, because cellars are because you have so many wines.
Oh,
I don't know, how do you do it?
We have, and we have several brands, but what differs the brands from grams to thousands to hohe? There's a lot of things, but the main thing is the origin of the wine, so the properties, the terroir, let's say. Each brand has its own property, or more than one. Grams have 5, thousands 4, if I'm not wrong. So each wine has its own identity, let's say. And then also it's part of that blender job to, okay, I know that Hause is normally a drier port. Grams is normally a sweeter port. So you have to, well, not only the blender, but the winemaker. On Hause, your fermentation is a little bit longer so that you don't have so much sugar. On grams, you stop a fermentation a little bit earlier so that you have more sugar, okay? Well, the head of the winemaking is Hause Symington. Okay, there's 5 members of the family working. Now there's more because their sons are getting into the business as well. But there are 5. So you have one is the winemaker, Charles. The other one, Paul, is the CEO. Rupert is the financial guy, a very important one, the one that pays us out. Then you have Johnny, he's the commercial guy, and Dominic, he's the PR and also on the commercial side. Normally, the decision of the wines is made by the family, and then we have obviously winemakers, a lot of winemakers, but these ones are family and the blender only. There's 2 people working in the tasting room. One is the head of that, Manuel Rocha. So,